Hello, welcome back to the channel of Motorbike Nonsense. Goodbye GS. I've been running this GS for the past 2 weeks. Hopefully there's a few videos on it live on the channel now. And my KTM has been living here, BMW's press shed, has started. I'm quite surprised because the battery on this isn't in a great state at the moment. But anyway, this is a very quick video. Just talk about my first impressions of hopping back onto my bike. That sounds quite boring, quite dull, quite cheap content, and it is. I'll be honest, I haven't even got a second GoPro. But I often think you can tell the most about a bike when you do a direct swap. And 2 weeks from that, straight onto this, I think I'm probably going to crash it because this is a lot twitchier. But anyway, it's started. I'm going to go home. I've got my Zumo XT2 telling me where to go. And yeah, this actually started relatively easily. I've just got to be careful of the throttle response on this because, as you know, I tend to leave it in rally throttle response, which is it's a bit of a hair trigger, but I enjoy it once you're used to it. The GS is a lot more, what's the word, manageable. I will just check my tyre pressures once I'm out here. Oh yeah, it's a lot easier to get my feet down for a start. It does feel a lot more manageable, this bike. It's got a full tank, only a 23 litre one compared to the GSA I've just handed back. So even when it's full, this carries its weight so nice and low down in those ball bag tanks, and they really do make a difference. So I'm just going to short shift in second so I don't launch myself to the moon out of here. Oh yeah, indicator switch. Got to get used to how that feels on this bike. You stay there. I know someone that was driving an M4 CSL and they got T-boned there, I believe. Anyway, that's the story for another day. I'm probably not meant to have said that. Anyway, let's warm the tyres up. Instantly the chassis feels not more nervous. I'm just getting a lot more feel through the front end and through my bum. Oh god, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot faster than the GS, but you kind of knew that really. It just feels, dunno. It feels like a less substantial motorbike than the GS does. The GS feels like it is genuinely hewn from solid rock. And one thing that's already annoying me about this is how short the clutch lever is. It feels like it's got shorty levers on it. So your finger's always on the ball end, unless you move your hands in. Yeah, it's got the same effortless torque as the GS. Christ, it's so fast. Now, what I would say, this feels so much more. Look at that dust. I could never go to ABR Festival with a bike that dusty. It has to be pristine. It does feel like it's very plasticky compared to the GS, and this rattles over bumps. I've had 2 weeks of rattle-free motorcycling, and now I'm back in Rattlesville, Alabama, which is suboptimal. But anyway, this video isn't going to be that interesting because I've literally just got to get the motorway home. Unless I bin it on that diesel, that would make it interesting. I'll try not to do that. But yeah, the engine is warmed up already. Oh yeah, I remember this. Actually, do you know what? This is noticeably faster than the GS. Handling wise, I thought the GS would top this. I think it's just different but similar. I think a GS would go along country road, round corners just as quickly as this, but you don't get quite the same feedback. You have to build trust in the GS's front end, whereas this just kind of gives it to you. Like an Austrian sausage platter. Alright, let's go on to the M3. Yeah, I told you this wasn't going to be a very interesting video. Other things I initially noticed jumping onto this, the GS does have a much comfier seat, and I've spent up 200 quid on a comfort seat for this that's heated and have to get it coded to the bike and all that nonsense, and it's still nowhere near as good as the GS. The problem is the gap between the pillion seat and the rider seat on this bike. I just end up in that crevasse. It's like getting lodged in Kelly Brook's cleavage, but not half as fun. There you go, it's 90s reference for all of you. Alright, the GS will pull cleanly in 6th gear at 60 miles an hour. I know for a fact this won't, so I'm not going to try it. The 6th gear feels very vibraty at 70 miles an hour on this bike. It is an overdrive essentially on this, whereas the GS you can stick it in 6th and it's still really punchy and really quick to overtake people on the motorways. This, I mean, it's not slow, but if you're only at 70 it doesn't really want to be in 6th, it wants to be in 5th, which is fair enough. But anyway, I'm going to cut to some twisty roads once we've got much closer to home, and I'll see you then. Okay. This is quieter than the GS as well because I've got the little thing on. Right, boring motorway bit done. And there are a few other things I can tell you about how the KTM 1290 Super Adventure S compares to a BMW Cruiser Air GS, and that is The mirrors on this bike are noticeably bigger than those on the GS, also noticeably more dusty. I think that is the crumbs of a Pompeian child. You're going to want to come over here because you're in the wrong lane, aren't you? Because you are a wazzock. But anyway, the mirrors bigger, much vibier. It's a much vibier bike in general, so these are fine in top gear at about 70-75 miles an hour. Any speed above that and they are a blurry mess. You have to pull the clutch in if you want to see what's behind you. The BMW's a much less vibey bike in general. The mirrors stay clearer for longer, and also I'm noticing quite a bit of handlebar dingle on this bike, and I guess I'd got used to it. I thought this bike was quite smooth, but actually the bars are quite vibey when you're at 70, 75 and 6. It's not annoying. I've done tours on this and not had dead hands, but it's just worth bearing in mind. I would say the brakes are better on the GS as well, actually. The brakes on this just have a slight vagueness about them. I think I should change the pads a little bit. I also need to change the tyres because it doesn't tap in as nicely as it used to. But I think a change of pad material is called for on this. I haven't actually used that much front brake pad. The speeds I was doing in foreign climbs last year, braking hard the corners, I thought I'd knacker them, but when I took it for service they're like, no, you've used about 0.3 millimeters. So I guess engine braking helps with that. Actually, this doesn't have as much engine braking as the GS, I should point out. Right, motorbike privilege, using the slightly wrong lane until you get to the front, and then getting back into the correct lane. Hello children, no boys and girls, no feet down. I guess the one other big difference that's a very personal thing, whether it bothers you or not, is the fact this is chain drive and not shaft drive. So you do have to keep on top of your chain maintenance, adjusting it, lubing it, and all that stuff. And if it does get even a slightly bit out of tension, the quick shifter turns to dog poo. So you have to really keep an eye on that. I gotta keep an eye on that. So yeah, that's basically it. That was a very quick video comparing 1290 Super Adventure S to a GS. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. I like replying to comments, it's half the fun of YouTube. And I shall see you soon. Sorry it's only been a one GoPro affair. Like I said, this is very much thrown together for your pleasure. Like a dismembered girl. Let's not go there.